Okay. All right, so I'm on YouTube and Facebook. Get my notes here. I have to look around the corner because I can't see something on YouTube. I've only got 2 cameras going here. That's all I can handle. Okay. Hello. Just waiting for everyone to turn up before I get into it. I've got a whole bunch of notes here from a client. I teach clients, I coach clients all over the world, and they'll tell me about different things about their culture, their history, their religion. So I always write stuff down and then go research it. I just find it, I learned so much about different cultures and countries from coaching. Anyway, so that's what I was just doing, looking some stuff up. Okay, just waiting for everyone to turn up. Make sure you're on the email list because we've got a big announcement coming out, big toddler course coming out this week. So if you're on my mailing list, that's the behavior board. Look it up. In the link above, you can get on my newsletter. If you're interested in the toddler course, it's coming out this Thursday. Okay, we got enough people. Let's get going. My name is Lisa. I'm a parenting coach. If you go on the link above, you can see my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp course, or you can look into coaching. I've got a brand new course coming out. It's a toddler boot camp course that's coming out this Thursday. Check it out. It's on my Podia. If you look at the link above, you'll see everything. Yeah, we just posted that this morning. Okay, but it's not available till Thursday. Okay, so let's get going with your parenting questions. Let me see. Shoot, just a sec. I lost it. Hello, was wondering on how to get my son to stop pushing over kids at daycare. He is 2. So you're not there. You have to be there. Toddlers are in the moment. You can't discipline him afterwards. It's up to the daycare workers to deal with that. You just can't do anything if you're not there. Nothing. They live in the moment. They're right in the present tense, not in the, yes, remember earlier when you push someone? You can't do that with a 2-year-old. So yeah. If you're there, then you can just use corrective action. You take him away from the fun. You say no, and then you're really nice to the other kid, and then you remove your son. And then you got to prevent future pushes. It's physically demanding to do that. You have to be right there, though. And toddlers are not about words. They're about consistent corrective actions. I'm going to read out my top 5 tips for parenting toddlers. They're in the discovery stage. They're just discovering everything themselves, you, the world. So yeah, they're a bit nuts right now, and that's okay. Number 1 is childproof your home so you never have to say no. Number 2 is set up a toy rotation system so they're never bored. Number 3 is when you want to connect with a toddler, you do so in their world. You don't go to the nail salon with them. You go to the park and roll down the hill. They just look at you differently when you enter their world. Number 4 is similar, and you discipline them in their world. They're not about words. They're about actions. You use consistent corrective actions with toddlers. You either remove the fun from them or them from the fun, just temporarily if they act out. And then you ignore tantrums. But anyway, I'll get into all that. Okay, number 5 is stop trying to figure them out. They're not figure-outable. They're brand new, fresh human beings. They're discovering everything in the world. Okay, they're just trying to make sense out of it. And it won't make any sense till they're about 3. So that's toddlers. And I've got my brand new toddler boot camp course coming out this Thursday. So if you're on the newsletter, you'll see all the announcements about it. And you can just look in the link above and it explains what's in that. I'm pretty sure we just worked on that this morning. So got that all set up. Just a sec. Yep, it's got the countdown. Why does it say 2 days, 14 hours? Oh, I guess that's right. Anyway. Hello from Philadelphia. We have learned a lot from your videos. You said videos. I know what you meant. And feel more confident parenting our toddler. Excellent. Yeah, just keep watching. Most people are never going to hire me because I've got 1.3 million followers. The odds of 1.3 million people following or like buying stuff off me or hiring me is pretty slim. So most people are going to get a lot of information just from watching my videos and watching my lives. And I'm thrilled about that. So most of my audience is they're just benefiting from the freebie stuff. And what a gift day to be able to do that. It just feels great that I can just put stuff out there and I'm helping people. Like, it's a wonderful feeling. If you've got some information that you should be sharing with the world, share it. If you've got stuff you think can be helping people, share it. You can sell stuff on the side too, but a lot of people they can just be helped for free, right? I just feel very fortunate that I can do that. Hi, finally caught you live. Excellent. Welcome. Okay, 3-year-old keeps pooping in his pull-up when he knows. Okay, so this is a little boy. It's usually little boys who don't like pooping on the toilet. So if he doesn't want to poop on the toilet, this is what you do. You say, look, I understand it feels different when you're pooping in a pull-up. So what we're going to do, and I'll tell you why, by the way. It's usually little boys, and I'll tell you why in a second also. There's 3 reasons why they don't want to poop on the toilet. One is plop phobia, the splashback. They might have happened once and they didn't like it. And the reason it's usually boys is boys have more equipment hanging down there. So they get more stuff to splash. You know what I mean? Anyway, I'm not a little boy, but you know what I mean. I'm sure it would feel like maybe they got a little bit more down. Enough said, Lisa, shut up. Anyway, number 2 is that it's hanging. It's that hang phobia. They feel a pulling when it's just hanging there. They're used to pooping in a smashed up, confined, warm space. And that's a hint to the last reason. It's warm. So what I would suggest you do is just get a little porta potty, put some toilet paper in the bottom so that there's no water to splash back. Also, they can feel their little bum can actually feel the toilet paper on their bottom. So there's no hanging and it'll hit the bottom before it is finished. Oh, never mind. I won't go on to the great detail. You get it. Also hike up the heat in the bathroom so it's nice and warm. So those are the things I suggest you do. It's usually boys though. So sometimes girls, but it's usually boys. How do I take your courses? We have 3 teens. 3 teens, 7 5-year-old who are autistic, and then my 2.5 trying to. Okay, that would be coaching. Teenagers, I don't have a course on teenagers. I just have 2 courses. The toddler one's coming out this Thursday. That's the big boot camp course. I also have mini toddler courses. Just a little hint, they're going to be a bonus within that big course. But they're just a bonus. The course is actually what you're paying for. And then the regular boot camp course goes from 3 to 12 years old. It can stretch up to 14 unless they're like 13 going on 18. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's 3 to 12 years old. Teenagers, right now it's all coaching one-on-one with me. I do specialize in teenagers. They're my favorite age. The reason why they're so difficult for parents is parents aren't used to letting go of the little stuff. You have to let go of the little stuff. Don't micromanage them. Let them make some mistakes and you're just there for the big stuff. Teenagers are, they're different. You got to respect the fact that they're growing. They're going to make mistakes just like you do, just like you did. These are my top 4 tips for parenting teenagers. You listen to understand and show empathy. You don't listen to gather information to lecture with, or they will shut you out. If they want your advice, they'll ask for it. Number 2 is you negotiate pretty much everything. Hey, I want your dirty clothes in the hamper. What do you want from me? Number 4 is don't sweat the small stuff with teenagers. If they do something stupid and it's not a big deal, just say, well, that was stupid. Do you want to hear what I did when I was your age? And laugh it off. Or do you want to hear what I did today? I mean, we all make mistakes. There's nothing wrong with that. Don't shame them for making mistakes. Number 4 is don't leverage the good times to discuss the bad times. So you're finally getting along with your teenager. Maybe I've helped you out connecting with them. You're finally getting along with them. Then you use that time to unload on all the ways they've disappointed you over the last couple of years. They will shut you out. Don't leverage the good times to talk about the bad times. There's no point in discussing all the ways they've disappointed you and hurt your feelings. No point. I always say the payback with teenagers, if they give you a rough time when they're teenagers, the payback is when they're grown up and they have their own teenagers. You can just sit back and watch the show. It's a long wait. It's a slow burn, but it's probably worth it. Alrighty. I'm going to tell you something cute. This was so adorable. One of my clients today, their teenagers said, on the behavior board, they saw the behavior board, and I don't remember what it was, but the dad's rule was no yelling. They changed it. They said, we want to change that. They put dad's rule was tell a joke every day because he's quite serious. They want him to lighten up. So, and that's a good sign if a teenager wants to connect with a parent, because sometimes I deal with crisis work. So the rule was for the dad, tell a joke. But his consequence was if it isn't funny, he has to do 15 push-ups. Isn't that the cutest thing? I thought that was absolutely adorable. So yeah, his rule was he has to tell a joke every day, but if it isn't funny, he has to do 15 push-ups. I love that. They were really good. So now we're working on another behavior board, and I said, you make sure those teenagers have some input in that because they're good at it. That was great. That dad's probably going to, I think they started at 50 push-ups, but then they negotiated down to 15. Okay. Oh, I just talked about this, the going poop on the toilet. I don't want to do it again because just 5 minutes ago, I just went through it all. So the people who've already been here, I don't want to go through it again with them. Okay. My recently turned 1-year-old doesn't respond to the word no and reacts. Yeah, that's right. They don't understand. They understand the word no, but they just don't respect it because they're not about words. They're about actions. So you use consistent corrective actions. They do not give a hoot about the word no. Plus, I could go on for hours about this one. Toddlers do not act out because they don't understand. They act out because they lack impulse control. Does that make sense? They know that they shouldn't be throwing the rocks over the fence, but they're going to do it because it's fun, right? So you can correct it over time, but it doesn't happen right away. They don't act out because they don't understand. They act out just because they want to. They don't have impulse control. So does that help you at all? People say, well, they don't understand. Yeah, they do. They just want to do it anyway. Remember, they're in the discovery phase. Toddlers are discovering everything. The word no, if you don't have actions to back it up, they don't give a hoot. So they're about consistent corrective actions. Plus, if they just turned 1, they're still in the baby phase. I would do more to redirection. And my top 5 tips, I've already read it out. I just read that out. But number 1 is childproof your home so you never have to say no. Why are you saying no? Like, isn't your home childproof? What exactly? I had a friend who just refused to childproof. She goes, I want them to learn. So anyway, this kid was learning by brushing their teeth with the toilet brush. I thought, yeah, I don't want my kids to learn that. But that she figured that was part of learning. So, but she was always running around saying no. I thought, what's the point? I was having fun with my toddlers because the whole house was childproof. Plus, my kids weren't used to getting into stuff. So when I took them out, they were less likely to be precocious. They didn't know anything about brushing their teeth with the toilet brush. They never went near it. So yeah, childproof your home makes life easier. Okay, my 3-year-old son fights me every night for bedtime. Check out my bedtime battles course. It goes from 2 to 8 years old. And it's a system. It's a whole procedure. It's in 2 parts, how to get them in bed, then how to keep them there. That's the hard part. So it's a whole system. Check it out. It's in my link above. Everything I have is in the link above. And my new toddler course, it's a boot camp course for toddlers. Well, for you parents of toddlers. Anyways, that's coming out this Thursday. So a little hint, all of the other courses, the mini toddler courses, they're all included. They're a bonus, okay? So you're paying for the course, the boot camp course, but the other things I'm throwing in as a bonus, just so you know. Okay, hitting is on the behavior board for both 3 and 5-year-olds. What is an example of a positive consequence? So, okay. There's always 2 consequences for the kids. There's 1 rule, no hitting. The first consequence is a positive action, okay? Then if they won't do that, then you resort to the negative deprivation. So you get them to do something positive. If they won't do that, and you always time it, okay? So it's just do a chore within 15 minutes of being asked to do so. If they don't do that, it can't be done in 15 and a half or 16 minutes. Once that alarm goes off, that's it. 24-hour media blackout starts now, okay? Something like that. But a positive action, don't get caught up in what the consequence is. The reason why I don't list out a bunch of consequences is it's inconsequential. Just always wanted to say that. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Just do a chore. And it's usually something that they don't love, but it can be something that they don't mind doing. But it can just be like clean 1 window. The chore should be 2 minutes long, but it has to be done within 15 minutes. So don't make it a 15-long-minute chore. Like don't have them detail your car or anything like that. It's just clean a window, sweep the kitchen floor, dust bust something, although that might just be more fun for them. But yeah, or clean out a windowsill. They don't usually like doing that. But yeah, don't get caught up in what the consequence is. It's the consistency of your follow through is the important thing. Okay. My daughter is 4 and she's overly affectionate. She's saying, I love you. She's hugging all her friends. You could just say to her, I know you don't want to scare her, but remember, okay, there's a few different ways I could go with this one. I would just say, look, you're scaring them. You don't want to smother people. You don't want to be all over them all the time. So just back off a little bit. but you can do it with me. So she can still hug and love and all that, but you got to teach her that she can't just be going out there doing that with everybody. So just sort of say it like it is. You're scaring them. You're smothering them. Okay. So just back off a little. Yeah, I would just say it like it is. You don't want to hurt her feelings. Yeah, I get that. But yeah, she'll be okay. She'll survive. I'm going back just a sec. Okay, sorry. I'm just scrolling ahead because I got a lot of questions here and I want to make sure you're here when I answer. And don't put your questions in two parts because I can't, there's too many other questions between them and I can't connect them. My son is 11 months and his mom and I live separately. Any advice for co-parenting a son his age? Just make sure the most important thing to remember when you divorce or when you're co-parenting is never argue. You don't have to have the same parenting style, but you have to be on the same page and support each other. Okay, so you can have he's too little for a behavior board, but when he's 3 years old, you can actually have the same behavior board going up. So it's even more symbolic of the fact that we're on the same page. Never ever argue in front of a child when you're together or apart. My ex and I, when he split, the kids were shocked that we were splitting up because they never saw us argue before or after. They don't care if you're together, they just care that you get along. And that's very true. They don't care if you're together, they just care that you get along. They'd rather you be apart and not fighting than together and fighting. But yeah. Just get along, put them first. So it's a bit tricky, especially when other people start getting involved, girlfriends, boyfriends come into the picture, and then they start parenting. I would suggest do your best to become friends with everybody. Do your best to be friends. So that's the best thing you can do. It's like a united front. It makes them feel good. My ex and I wouldn't say we were friends, but we were a united front as parents. Always. Yeah. That's the important thing. We always turned up to everything together, with the kids. So do as much of that as possible. It's just win-win. I always say you got to love your kids more than you hate each other. They didn't choose to come into this world with the two of you. You chose that. So you're stuck with each other for the rest of your lives. But you don't have to be the same parent. You can be very different parenting styles. It's like kids go to daycare, then they go to school, then they go to swimming lessons, then they go home. They adapt to wherever they are. They understand that they're with different people. It's amazing how easily children adapt to different styles of leadership or parenting or teaching, or they adapt. They don't need to. Years and years ago, I didn't even think I had to say this, but the behavior board is something that I do with parents and they do at home with their children. I had someone years ago, like I've been doing this for like 17 years. And I had someone who made up a behavior board for the teacher and asked them to do it at school. They had 35 kids in their class and they wanted that teacher to do that behavior board with their kid. I literally sent an email to that teacher to apologize and say it wasn't me. I was embarrassed that they thought that might have been me. And that's just for parenting at home. So don't expect anyone else to do that same behavior board. That's on you. So if your ex doesn't want to do the same stuff, don't worry about it. That's their business. I get a 14-month-old who won't go to sleep at bedtime. She's staying up until 1 and 2. Well, I don't know what's going on there. I'd have to assess that. Did she still nap? My kids both stopped napping, regular naps, at 12 months old. Maybe they're sleeping too much during the day. I don't know. Maybe they're sleeping in too long. I don't know. Maybe if you're still breastfeeding, maybe you're having too much caffeine or alcohol. I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I don't know. Yeah, usually naps are the killer of good bedtime or good nighttime sleeps. Oh, I was thinking, who's Ty? But that's thank you. Who the heck is Ty? A lot of influences around me suggest spanking, not in anger, for discipline. Not sure how. Okay, spanking and yelling are two things that work in the moment, but they backfire down the road. No one really wants to do it. It's not a good thing to do, but the reason people do is it does work short term, but it backfires long term. Like there's better things to do. You don't need to yell and spank. Okay, 22-month-old keeps throwing food on the floor. Why do they have the access to the food? What I would do is I wouldn't give them, if you know they're prone to doing this, don't give them much food to start with. Just give them a little bit of food. And then when they throw it on the floor, you say no, and you throw it in the garbage, then you hand feed them. You do not give them access to food for that meal. Hand feed them. No. And they're kicking up a storm. Say, okay, all cleaned up, go. and just stop the meal. Then a half hour later, they're still hungry because they haven't eaten, right? So you say, okay, let's try again. You give them a little bit of food, they throw it, say no, throw it away, and hand feed them. They'll eventually, the hunger will get the better of them. Don't show any anger or they might fight back harder. Just stay calm. Calm, calm, calm. They'll eventually you got to be willing to go through the storms, though. Everyone says, how do we teach them this without them getting upset? They're going to get upset. If they want to get their own way and all of a sudden they're not going to get their own way, they're going to get upset. That's part of it. That's where all the lessons are. You got to be willing to go through the storm to get to the rainbow. Everyone wants the rainbow without the storm. It doesn't make any sense. There is no rainbow without a storm. The storm is their lesson. The fits, scenes, tantrums, meltdowns, those are them processing, not getting their own way, not being able to throw food on the floor, not being able to hit the dog. That is them processing, not being able to do those things. Okay, I got to go. I got to move over to Instagram. If you want to join me over there, it's Bratbusters Parenting. Check out the link above. You can see my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp course. You can look into coaching. I have a brand new boot camp course coming out just for parents of toddlers. And just a little hint, all of the mini courses for the toddlers will be an added bonus into that big one. The big one is what you're paying for. I'm just throwing those other ones in as a bonus. So that's coming up this Thursday. Check out the newsletter. You'll get access to it. You'll see it all up there. So the link above, you'll see what's going on there. So yeah, we just finished that this morning. Just finished getting that all set up this morning. Very exciting. Is timeout okay for a 7-year-old? Yeah, I don't like timeout. I actually can't stand timeout. I think it just teaches children how to feel like crap about themselves. You go sit in a corner and feel like garbage. Yeah, I can't stand timeout. Just keep following me and I'll teach you everything else to do. He's 7 years old. Check out the behavior board. It's completely free, or you can look into the boot camp course. That's the 3 to 12-year-old boot camp course. And you said the thing is that you said he's autistic. This stuff, leadership can work with all children, okay? But if you really have challenges directly as a result of his autism, that may be a little bit more challenging, that would be coaching. I don't discuss autism generally. I only discuss it one-on-one with me coaching. And I doubt very much I would ever have a course on that. I like to treat it as individuals because they're also different. They have different things that work and don't work with them. Does your course work for neurodivergent kids? Yes. Kind of, those are all the kids I worked with. No one ever said to me, when I was working with kids for 52 years, no one ever said to me, here's an easy one, Lisa. They all went, good luck with this one. They were all kids that were just a little bit more challenging, right? They're the kids who taught me all this. And I'm kid taught. I've never ever read a book on parenting or kids or anything. Kids taught me all this. Teenagers taught me all this. I've mentored troubled teens. I've been in hospitals, homes, schools, detention centers, working with toddlers, kids, teenagers, all sorts of challenges, physically disabled, abused, whatever, violent. They taught me all this. I'm kid taught. I never thought that was all volunteer work. I never thought it was anything I'd ever turn into a business in a million years. The teenagers I worked with said, you got to teach this, Lisa. No one's ever talked to us like you do. And they were the ones who said, you got to start a business. So I thought, what? Doing what? It took me years to even do it. Like, I just thought, what? A business doing what? But anyway, never dawned on me. I was just doing it because I love being around kids. And I love the challenge, trying to figure them all out. My kid keeps saying, I'm never going to play with you again, and pouting whenever play doesn't go. Okay, well, that means it's working because they only talk like that if it works. So if they said, I'm never going to play with you again, I would have gone like this, whatever, and then just keep doing what you're doing. Don't give that any attention. It's just manipulation. That's all that is. It means it must work, or else they wouldn't do it. They would only try that once. If it never worked, they'd never do it again. But obviously it's worked. It's going to take longer to get rid of that attitude because you've obviously been feeding it. Okay, here's the thing. I've been trying to implement your leadership skills on my 2-year-old, specifically ignoring tantrums for the past few months, and his behavior still continues. That's a niche thing, a tantrum. If you don't mix it up with all this other stuff, it's going to be more challenging potentially. Not always. If you've got other stuff going on, you're not managing that, then the tantrums are going to continue. Also, play is their love language. If you're not playing with your toddler enough, none of this stuff's going to work. I don't teach discipline so much as I teach connecting and play. Fun is their love language. I do have a toddler course coming out this Thursday. Yeah, so you might want to look into that. Check out the newsletter above. If you sign up for my newsletter, you'll see the information on that. But yeah, you can't just single out one thing you want to fix. Sometimes that works, but if you've got other stuff going on, just ignoring tantrums might not work, right? It's a whole package. It's kind of like wanting to lose weight. I eat lettuce, but I'm still not losing weight. Well, that's because you're eating at fast food every night. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't just do one thing right and expect the whole thing to go well. God, I'm bad at analogies. That one wasn't so bad though, was it? That one made sense. Sometimes I'll say something, I go, what the heck am I talking about? I did say one time, I wish I could remember what it was, but I made up something and I thought it was a clever analogy to explain something. And all I got on here was, I think it was during a live, and all I got was question mark, what the hell are you talking about, Lisa? I didn't even know. Like, I'm not good at analogies. I keep saying I'm not. I don't know why. I can't get any better at them. Okay. Okay, you've got a 3-year-old who won't potty train. Check out my potty training course. Yeah, check that out. It's in the link above. It's a whole system, how you potty train. I trained my son in 1 day and my daughter in 2 days. And it was messy, but it was fast. And no pull-ups, no night diapers, nothing. But I was already a leader, so that's why it went so well. They were 2.5, so they already knew when mom said something, it was going to happen. So I already had that respect sort of going at that stage, but it's a good way to start getting yourself set up as a leader because you're leading with fun. It's fun for them, by the way, the potty party, not for you. I'm going to tell you this cute story that has nothing to do with parenting. I just thought it was so adorable. This elder gentleman, even older than me, he was in this cafe and he went in one of those, like a Starbucks, you know how there are the individual bathrooms, and he shut the door. And so he's in there for about a minute. And this group of 3, I think, came along. And I think they tried the door and then they knocked. Do you know what he did? He opened up the door and said yes. Like he was opening up his front door to say hello to visitors. It threw them off. They didn't know what to say. And they said, oh, well, go ahead. We'll wait. And you go, oh, okay, bye now. And he shut the door. So we were all kind of chuckling. Is that the cutest thing? Like it was his front door. He said, hello. I guess he'd never been in one of those washrooms before. He didn't know the etiquette. It was cute. Okay, I have ADHD and sitting and playing on the floor is extremely difficult for me and I find myself easily distracted. Okay, well then do TikTok dances. Do something physical. I used to do mini Olympics. I'm kind of hyperactive too. I used to do mini Olympics with my kids. We'd hop around on one foot. So do physical stuff then. If you don't want to sit in the floor, pick them up. Play balloon tennis with them, but they're the racket. Like I used to throw my kids around when they were little and like I'd hit the balloon with them. So yeah, get physical. They love that stuff. I used to roll down the hills with them at the park and yeah, get physical. If you can't sit still, don't sit still. 10-year-old that never listen when asked to do anything. That's a sign. It means that they don't respect you. You got to work on yourself. Remember, we're not fixing kids here. We're fixing and teaching parents. You lead, they will follow. That's just a tell. It means that you haven't earned their respect. You got to work for that. You got to earn it. Check out my boot camp course. It goes from 3 to 12 years old. I have a new boot camp course coming up on Thursday, so I'm going to have to know how to reword that. But that'll be for toddlers. But my existing boot camp course is 3 to 12 years old. It's all about you and your leadership. It teaches you how to be a leader. You lead, they will follow. If they don't respect you, you got to earn that. You got to work for it. It doesn't just happen. They're not just born handing you their respect. You got to earn it. You got to work for it. ADHD is so common. I almost wonder if the rest of us are the ones with challenges. Like, it just seems like everybody has ADHD these days. It's amazing. I wonder if there are more people with ADHD or if we just are assessing it differently. We just understand it more. I knew a whole bunch of kids in school, I'm sure, had it, but they didn't know what it was back then. Because I was in school when the dinosaurs were still roaming. Okay. You got a 4-year-old runner who runs off. Put a harness on them before you go out, and then say, if you run, you're going to get clipped into this leash. As soon as they start to run, clip them in. You have to clip them in for the rest of that outing. I know it's difficult if you're going somewhere where you have to go, but if you go, just do a few trial runs, going places where it doesn't really matter. They can lay on the floor and have a fit because they're tied up. It's better to have them on a leash than to have them flattened by a bus. So you harness them into a car seat so you can harness them into a leash. Where is the sign up for that course? It's all in the link above. Everything I have is in the link above. It's all on one page. So just keep scrolling down once you go there. I'm just going to look at it myself. Let me see here. Yep. The newsletter. If you sign up for the newsletter, you'll get all the information that's coming up. My daughter does all this stuff, by the way. That's why I'm looking at it like, what's this? I don't do it. She does it all. But yeah. The boot camp is, just scroll down a little bit. It's right there. And the toddler boot camp course is coming up on Thursday. Just a little hint, all of the toddler mini courses will be an added bonus in that course. Okay, we're not giving any refunds on that. It's just an added bonus that I'm going to throw into the course. You're paying for that toddler boot camp course. But yeah. What to do with a 13-month-old who screams all day long, screams for everything? Well, I hear this quite a bit, but I never quite know when they're screaming. And how much playing do you do with them? Do you play with them a lot? Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to assess that. I don't know why. Maybe they got a medical condition. I don't know. Have you had to talk to a doctor? But play is their love language. The more you play, the less likely they are to scream. I'm learning and implementing your tips for being a leader, but I can't get my husband on board. It's causing chaos. Now, it must be causing chaos because he's undermining you or going against you. You don't have to both be leaders. You just have to, they have to be on the same page. He has to support, like, not go against you. So if he doesn't want anything to do with it, you have to just cut a deal with him. Just say, look, give me 3 weeks of this. If it doesn't work, then I'll, do whatever, we'll do whatever you want. So you have to cut a deal. I can't tell you what one of my clients did. It was favors that this person promised to do. And they went in great detail about what they were too. Hey, we're not the least bit shy telling me everything. So yeah, they cut a deal. It was a very interesting deal. How do I approach silly behavior in front of friends nearly 6 years old? So are you silly or the kid silly? I don't quite know what you mean by that. And I don't know what you mean by silly. So I can't answer that. The toddler courses are bonuses to the toddler boot camp course only. Yeah, because all the stuff that applies to 3 and above is already in the other boot camp course. But yeah, the toddler boot camp course, the little ones are just a bonus thrown in. But not everyone's going to need all that. They might just want potty training, for example. So there's still a need for just those individual courses. 13-month-old, he'll play alone very, very little. Yeah, they're going to do that. Get a toy rotation system in place. That's one of my tips for parenting toddlers. It's actually number 2. Set up a toy rotation system so they're never bored. And you start playing with them, then you look distracted and get up and say, oh, I'm just going to go do the dishes, and then wander off. So get them started like you're warming up the engine, get them started. But if you're rotating toys every week, they're not going to be bored. They're going to be looking at stuff like it's brand new. If they want to play with you, you can just be standing doing dishes or whatever, and they can be playing at your feet. I never liked the idea of a playroom. I wanted my kids playing around me. So if I was in the kitchen cooking, they were at my feet playing, or I could see them from the kitchen and I was always talking to them. So yeah, I kind of wanted that connection, but they didn't expect me to play with them all the time, but they did want to be around me, especially my daughter. My son was actually very good at individual play. I remember I had a sewing room. I used to make all their clothes. And in my sewing room, I had it when they were toddlers, and sewing rooms are very dangerous. So, all sorts of scissors and pins and needles. Anyway, I had a gate across the door, and my son would sit there and he would play and talk to me through the gate, right? So he was quite happy with that. I was like 2 feet away. I was right here and he's at the gate playing. He was happy with that. My daughter, on the other hand, she wanted to be right up against me. She was like Velcro. And she was 2 feet away, and this is all I saw. She's hanging onto the bars of the gate, and she never cried. She was a very easy little child, but she was like Velcro. Then I realized I took the gate down, and she just sat at my feet. She never went near any of the sewing stuff, and I never left her alone with it. But she wanted to be right up against me. It's fine if they're up against you playing, but yeah, she didn't expect me to play with her all the time, but she did want to be able to get access to me. That's very normal. Is there a boot camp for teens? No, I do have it I do have a plan for doing that. I always said I'll never do one for toddlers. And of course I had to eat my words. I thought, what am I going to say about toddlers? It's not laid out like the 3 to 12-year-old. It's not a week by week, do this, do that. It's more of a reference guide. Why do they do this and what to do about it? It's all these millions of different little mini lessons, right? And then I always thought, what am I going to put in a toddler course? Toddlers are crazy, the end. Because they're really, they're just going to do what they're going to do sometimes, but it sort of explains what they're all about too. Anyway, teens, I've decided, because I do specialize in teen crisis work, I can't put crisis stuff in a course, but I can put in a whole bunch of stuff that can potentially help you avoid crisis stuff, the real big stuff with teenagers. So I do have that in the plans, but we've got other stuff planned, and my daughter's in charge of planning. I did ask her if I could do a teen course in the next couple of months, and she told me no. She's got other plans. She does all the marketing and planning, so we don't step on each other's. She never tells me how to do my job. I never tell her how to do her job. She knows what she's doing. So yeah, I'm not allowed to do it yet. But she goes, yeah, we'll do it. She's got it planned out for when we're going to do it. What's the best way to start a toy rotation? Okay. You got to put it in the trunk of your car. You got to put the stuff somewhere where the kids can't get at it. So put them all in boxes up high. You can even keep them at a friend's house. It's also a good idea to switch toys with friends too, or family, if you have kids about the same age. I had the great system. I was so lucky. We didn't have a lot of toys, but then I realized also I'm more of a minimalist. And also we lived in Australia, so we were outside a lot. And but they had the best thing there. And I don't know if you have it in your city or wherever, but they had a toy library, and it was literally attached to the regular government book library. And you go around back, and now these toys you get them for I think 2 or 3 weeks, and it was big. It was like the big slides that, like the stuff you could fit in your car, but like big doll houses, big garage setups. They were not tiny little toys. They were these great big toys that you don't want to invest in because they're going to get bored with them anyway. So you just spray them down with some dish soap and hose them down afterwards, dry them off, and hand them back. And it was fantastic. So we would go pretty much every week or two and get all these great big toys. Some were for outside, some were for in the house. If you don't have that toy library in your city, I suggest you go to a church or a community center or even a library and ask if they'll set that up. I would think churches would be a really good place to go for that, because they're always looking for stuff to build a community, right? So, but yeah, try and set one up, and I think it's a great idea. Also, we have a park near us, and it is like a little kid park. We have bigger parks too, but I live downtown. They have this little kid park. And whenever families are finished with a toy, they drop it off there. That park is literally full of all these little ride-on things, and it's just full. So think about donating the stuff that you're not using. Just put it in the park, and someone will play with it there. Everyone leaves them there, but they might walk on. You can even put on there free. So share your stuff around. See what's, there's all sorts of Facebook Marketplace stuff, But yeah, so in other words, rotate stuff. I'm in Canada too. Hello. I'm in Vancouver. If you know Vancouver, I live, where Olympic Village is, near Science World, right in the water there, False Creek area. I don't live in the water, but I live right near there. Okay, actually, I have to get going. I've got to go over to TikTok now. If you want to join me over there, it's Bratbusters Parenting. If not, check out the link above. You can get my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp course, 3 to 12 years old. It's all about you and how to get respect in 5 weeks. Or you can look into coaching. And my toddler boot camp course is coming out this Thursday. All of the mini courses will be an added bonus. You're paying for that course, but they'll be thrown in. Just telling you that. Obviously not good for sales leading up to that, but that's okay. I would rather, but not everyone wants the whole course. They just want tantrums or they just want potty training or something. So they'll still be available individually, but they will be a bonus thrown into that course, just so you know. That's released this Thursday. Get on the newsletter list. It's up in the link above, and you can we'll tell you when it's all happening. Anyway, thanks so much for joining me. I am moving over to TikTok now. I'm on YouTube the whole time. That's where I save all of my lives. Thanks for joining me. Happy parenting. Bye now. Oh, I was on Facebook the whole time. I never did go to Instagram. What the heck happened there? Why did I do that? Vancouver has toy libraries. Oh, I didn't know that. Geez, that was embarrassing. I said I'm going over to Instagram, and then I never did, and I stayed on Facebook. I think that's what happened. I don't know what I did. I'll find out. People will tell me here soon enough. Okay, I wait till I get about 150 on here first. Okay, there we go. Okay, did I just say I was going to go to Instagram and then I forgot and I stayed on Facebook for all that time? Yeah, I messed up. Anyway, so here I am. I'm on Instagram now. I was just on Facebook, but I thought I'd moved over to Instagram, but turns out I didn't. So anyway, I get sidetracked. Okay. Okay, so I'm just going to introduce myself first. My name's Lisa. I'm a parenting coach. If you go on the link above, you can see my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp course, 3 to 12 years old. It's all about you, how to be a leader in 5 weeks, or you can look into coaching. My new boot camp course for toddlers is coming out this Thursday. Check it out in the link above. All those mini toddler courses will be an added bonus thrown in. You're paying for the boot camp course, but they're just a bonus. You might not want all those courses. So you might just want to buy them individually anyway. Okay, let's get going with your parenting questions. What's a corrective, an appropriate corrective action? So for a 16-month-old. So let's say they did something naughty. You always remove them from the fun or remove the fun from them. So if they're playing with something and they throw something, you say no, and then you might remove them from the fun for a few minutes. You say no, and then you just remove them. Don't talk to them about it though. The words are weak. It's all about actions, but you just don't keep them away from it for very long. But you got to be fast. Like they have to connect the two. They can't throw something and then you say, oh, as soon as I flip this omelet, then I'm going to go over and say, you see what I mean? It has to be fast. You go no, and then you run over and remove something. You're more sending the message. It's not really about the consequence. It's about the message. Okay. How do I stay disciplined myself? It's so hard for me. We do great for 5 days and then back off. Isn't that so true with dieting, fitness, all that stuff that's hard to do when you're changing habits? There's this book called Atomic Habits by James Clear. I'm sure you've heard of it. But it's all about starting small, like be 1% better every day, and then it accumulates. You get accumulated interest. I couldn't figure that out because he said if you get 1% better every day, so that's why we start with one behavior board at a time. Because you got to start small. This is how dumb I am with math. He says that you do 1% better every day and it accumulates. So by the end of a year, you're like 5,000% better or something. And I thought, well, aren't you 365% better? But you get what I did wrong there. I couldn't figure out what's accumulated interest mean. Compound interest kind of thing. Anyway, struck me as funny. So yeah, just focus on something that's easier to do. Master that, then move on to something harder. You're probably starting too hard and you're probably trying to address everything at once. The behavior board has one rule per week. One. Parents say this to me all the time, but I also want to do this and that and this. And I'm saying, yeah, but we're doing this one this week when I'm coaching parents. It's one rule per week. Master that. The rest of it's a disaster. Don't worry about it. The sign of your new leadership is that behavior board. It is that one thing that you're concentrating on. Master that, then move on. But the whole idea is after a while, the other bad behaviors start to drop away because they start to realize, hey, you know what you're doing. And they start to feel better about themselves. Kids, praise is overrated because kids aren't good because they're told they are. You're a wonderful boy. You know how they're not. They are good because they have pride in themselves. Like, okay, a lot of parents overpraise and underplay. So you want to make them feel good about themselves. When kids play is their love language. Fun is their love language. Praise is okay, but it's not going to get good behavior. It does nothing for kids. Nothing. You can argue that if you want, but some of my clients are child psychologists and they've never won that argument. Maybe they think they have, but I don't think they have. So yeah, praise gets you nothing with kids. It doesn't mean anything to them. Play is their love language. Yeah, parents tend to overpraise. You're wonderful, you're smart, and then I'm going to go do the dishes now, and this is the kid. But you say to that same kid, hey, what are you doing? Can I play too? Watch the difference. What makes that kid feel better? Playing or being told he's wonderful? What gets good behavior? Playing or being told they're wonderful? Yeah, parents tend to overpraise and underplay. How to regain control of a home when a 2-year-old doesn't listen, laughs at my discipline. Okay, well, check out my toddler boot camp course. That is coming out this Thursday. It explains all that. So yeah, it's not one easy answer, okay? I will read out my top 5 tips for parenting toddlers. Okay, number 1 is childproof your home so you never have to say no. Number 2 is set up a toy rotation system so they're never bored. Number 3 is when you want to connect with a toddler, you do so in their world. You don't go to the nail salon with them. You go to the park and roll down the hill with them. They look at you differently when you enter their world. Number 4 is disciplining toddlers in their world. It's sort of similar. They're not about words, they're about actions. You use consistent corrective actions. And number 5 is stop trying to figure them out. They're not figure-outable. They're in the discovery stage. They're discovering everything. They might even go like this and smear poop on the wall. Try and figure that one out, okay? They're just brand new, fresh human beings. So that's my top 5 tips for parenting toddlers. But I have my toddler boot camp course coming out this week. So if you look at the link above, you'll see it. Oh, this is cute. Tagged all my daughter-in-laws, and they take your advice over mine. Funny thing is, I would never give advice to my daughter-in-law. If she asked for it, I would give it, but they don't need it right now anyway. They've just got a little baby and they're doing great. But yeah, good for you that they're actually taking your advice. They actually respect you. It's interesting because someone asked me, they said, what are you going to be like when you've got grandchildren? Are you going to be giving advice to your kids? No, never. If they ask for it, I'll offer something, but no, it's their kids, none of my business. But if you drop those kids off at grandma's house, grandma's rules. If I'm babysitting, grandma's rules. If you trust someone enough to drop your kids off, don't micromanage and tell them how to do it. Right? Is it possible that my 4-month-old is already crying for attention in a manipulative way? Yes, but let's hear me out. If a baby cries, I pick them up. They are crying just to get attention. I give it to them. I meet their needs and I meet their wants when they're babies. I just do. I meet their needs and I meet their wants when they're babies. You don't want there to be any misses. You don't want to ever mess that up. You don't want to ever, if I'm doing laundry or something, I don't pick them up if they're crying. But if I can, I pick them up. I always picked up a crying baby. Do you know why kids, there was this funny cartoon years ago. I saw this. I'm not very good at explaining this, but there was this cartoon and it showed this mom and she was in the kitchen doing stuff and the kids had nothing to do with her. They were watching TV or whatever. This is an old. It was called Family something. Family Circle. And it was a very famous cartoon years ago in the newspapers. And so there was cut in half, and the mom's doing all these chores, doing stuff, and the kids don't even know she's alive. She goes to the bathroom and she's surrounded by 4 kids as soon as you go to the bathroom. Do you know why? Because they have your undivided attention. You can't escape. You can't get away. They've got you trapped. That's why they always follow you in the bathroom. It was just so cute. I need help with separation anxiety in my 15-month-old. Do the dump and run. Don't make a big deal out of the goodbyes or the hellos. So you say, okay, I'll see you later, and just do the dump and run. Pull it like pulling off a Band-Aid. The more you stretch out the goodbye, the worse it is. Also, don't make a huge deal about coming home. Just say, hi there. Okay, pick him up. Let's go do this. Because it makes it look like, hi, I missed you too. You don't want to make it look like it's a big drama, right? So yeah, it's going to be hard. I remember my kids, I dropped my son off in grade 1, and I could see he was kind of looking a little bit like he might cry. And I said, you're all right. I'll see you later, sweetie. And I went in the parking lot, sat in my car, and started crying. And I looked beside me. There was another mom in the car crying beside me. But we didn't let our kids see it. So yeah, just don't make a big deal out of the goodbyes and the hellos, and just do the dump and run. How to deal with a 3-year-old who wants me to stay in their room until they fall asleep? Well, that's, you meet their needs and manage their wants. You manage that. You don't stay in there and play till they fall asleep. Check out my bedtime battles course. It's in 2 parts: how to get them in bed, then how to keep them there. But yeah, just because they want something doesn't mean you have to do it. They're not in charge of you, right? Play is their love language, and need, not a want. Yes, it is. It's a need. I like that you say that. Can you say more? Can I say more? I don't know. I'm saying stuff all the time. I said something I thought was really profound the other day. It's really funny because sometimes I'll say stuff and I'll think, oh my God, that was so profound. Or a client will say, oh my God, that's great. That's so profound. I get it now. I get it. And then I'll think, oh, I figured out. I've got this one saying that parents are just going to understand everything. And then I'll say it to my next client and they're like this. Like what? We're all like that though. Something resonates with one person but not another. So I never know what's going to resonate with each person. That's why I try and throw as much in as possible. But something that I said that I thought was really good is this parent said, my daughter doesn't understand. She bullies other kids. She pushes them around, and then she cries because no one likes her. And she was older. She was 8. And I said, you tell her that in order to be liked, you've got to be likable. And just lay it out like it is. She's not likable if she's bullying other kids around. You've got to be likable to be liked, right? You got to earn that. She just expects it to happen. She couldn't understand why kids didn't like her, and she's pushing them around and beating them up. So anyway, it was kind of funny. That was one thing that came out. The other one was, I said, if your kids feel good around you, they're good around you. If they feel bad around you, they're bad around you. So your goal is to make your kids feel good about themselves. When your kids like themselves when they're with you, they're more likely to want to please you. That's the leadership. Your job as a leader, or the way I look at it, leadership parenting, is that you want your kids to like themselves when they're with you. When I was mentoring troubled teens, one of them said to me years later, he said, I didn't like myself until I met you. And I thought that was probably one of the nicest things that anyone's ever said to me. So yeah, they were challenging at times, but my goal was to make them like themselves when they were with me. Therefore, they wanted to please me, or they didn't want to disappoint me, right? I became like a mentor, someone that they looked up to. And I made them feel good about themselves. I didn't get good behavior out of them because they were ashamed of what they were doing wrong. I got it because they were proud of what they were doing right. You get it? Yeah, definitely makes sense. My family thinks she's already being manipulative in a bad way, but I agree with you. She's a baby. She's 4 months old and she's manipulating to get attention. She's 4 months old and she's crying to get attention. Pick her up. Pick her up. Yeah, I just pick up crying babies. Family Circus. Oh, it wasn't Family Circle. It was Family Circus. Family Circle. Wasn't that a magazine? Yeah, you're right. Family Circus. My absolute favorite one was always the crazy one where it was the one of the most famous ones was the door said it was the door to the gifted school, and the kid was trying to push the door, but it said pull. And the gifted kid couldn't figure out how to pull the door. What was that guy who wrote those? He's still famous. I think he's died, but those cartoons. Anyway, he came out with a book years ago. Far Side. Anyway, he came out with a book many years ago. And in the book, the index to all the jokes in the very back was all blank pages. but under all the letters, A, B, C, D. But in T, it was full and it said the one about, the one about, the one about. I just thought that was one of the funniest things. The one about. So every single joke started with the one about. I love those cartoons. Obviously, I wasn't very intelligent. Whenever I got a newspaper, I went straight to the cartoons, obviously. Right into my adulthood. Now, does anyone look at the paper anymore? I don't know. Any twin-specific advice? No, but they do tend to fight more than other kids because they are equal-powered. Yeah, they do tend to fight a lot. No, I don't have any twin-specific stuff. But I do have a toddler course coming out. The boot camp course is coming out this Thursday. Did I put anything about twins in there? I'm just curious. I'll look it up. I don't think I did. I'm pretty sure. Okay. Do you know why? They did an interesting study years ago, and I guess this would be identical twins. I don't know. Anyway, they studied twins who grew up together and twins who didn't know they had a twin. They were adopted out at birth, and they grew up separately. The twins who grew up separately were far more alike than the ones who grew up together, which makes perfect sense. So the ones who grew up together, they were like opposites, but the ones who grew up separate were really similar personalities. Do you know why? Because when you grow up with an equal, like someone who's the same age, and they master one personality trait, you find another. So they want to be different. They figure, oh, well, you're the dominant one, so I'll be the docile one. They tend to, you know what I mean? They find the opposite stuff to stand out. But when they grow up separately, they often are very similar personalities. I thought that was interesting. It makes perfect sense. Start your boot camp this week. My 12 and 9-year-old now are tattling a lot now that we started the positive actions, but now I'm not sure who's telling the truth. Okay, did I talk about how you get the lying stuff figured out? So what you do is, I don't know if I put it in there. I must have. About lying, how to figure out if they're lying or not. Gee, I'll look that up too. Just a sec. Lying in course. Okay, so let's say they come to you and they're lying. You interview them both together and you write it all down. Take it like you're like a detective taking notes. You're doing an interview here. So what happened? You say go back and forth. So what happened? You tell me blah blah blah. Okay, so what happened? Then you interview them separately, and then you compare notes. And then if you still don't know who's telling the truth, the one who's lying will change the story. The one who's telling the truth will not change the story. The truth never changes. They might embellish it, but the facts will change with the liar usually. So then you just say, I've decided you're the liar here. And just say it like it is. You're lying here, so you're going to get a consequence. Yeah. Also, if they're tattling over every single little thing, I'd say, I'll tell you what. It's okay to tell me when it's something serious, but if there's not blood spurting from an artery or a bone jutting out of skin, I don't want to hear about it. So I told my kids that. I said, yeah. No, that was, I don't like to be interrupted by children. If I'm talking to someone, because I played with them a lot, so I filled up their love cup. They did not need to bother me if I'm on the phone. I couldn't stand that. So they learned that really young. And I said, look, unless there's bones sticking out of your skin or blood shooting from an artery, you don't bother me when I'm talking to an adult. And they never did. Potty train your 2-year-old. I have a whole course on that. Someone's recommending some potty training book. I don't know. I've never read a book on kids or parenting, so I don't know if it's good. I've got a course on potty training if you're interested. It's called the Potty Party. I did it. I trained my son in 1 day and my daughter in 2 days. No pull-ups, no night diapers. It was a messy lesson, but it was fast. My son was trained in 1 day. My daughter was 2 days. They were 2.5. I was already kind of a leader. They were already figuring out that when mom said something, it happened. So, but it's a good way to start exercising some of your leadership too, because it's using fun. Okay, I have to go over to TikTok now. If you want to join me over there, Bratbusters Parenting. If not, check out the link above. You can get my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp course, and you can look into coaching. I've got a new boot camp course coming out. Check out the link above. It'll explain it all. It's on toddlers. So that's coming up this Thursday. Anyway, I'm going over to TikTok. Happy parenting. Bye now. Okay. I didn't know Vancouver had toy libraries. Interesting. I'm going to write that down. I don't have any clients in Vancouver. All my clients seem to be all far away. I think the closest I had someone, I've had some from outskirts of Vancouver. I have one client. I don't know where they are. I don't know, Egypt or Saudi Arabia or something. And the time zone, the only time they can meet with me, we're reorganizing this to figure it out. The only time we could set up a time to meet was 5 a.m. for them. They were in pretty rough shape. 5 o'clock in the morning, they'd turn up like this. So they said, we can't do this again. It was quite cute. But yeah, I'm used to working with a lot of weird time zones. Okay, this is a very good question, but it's not a good answer. I have a new baby coming in the beginning of next year. How can I prepare my 2-year-old? You can't. How can you possibly prepare a toddler for what's coming? Think about, could anyone really prepare you what it was like being a first-time parent? You have to go through it. Also, they may be wonderful in the hospital. Oh, I love them. I love them. You get them home a week later, they grab the baby out of the bassinet and throw it on the floor. So they just don't understand concussions, death, and all that stuff. So they're just sick of this little thing, taking their parents away. It's just a transition time. It's going to be rough potentially. Not for all of them. Some toddlers don't even notice the baby. They could care less. That's the easy part. It's the ones who could care less. They can be really challenging. So yeah, you can't prepare them. I've never heard. You can get them all the stuff that they recommend. You can get them their own little baby doll and stuff like that. It might help, but I've never heard of it being that great. My son's 2.5 and he's been having long and intense tantrums. Check out my tantrum busting course. But check out the link above. But also my big toddler boot camp course is coming up. And all of those other courses will be an added bonus. All the mini courses for toddlers will be an added bonus in that, if you're interested. But if you only need a course on tantrums, you can get that today. What quick advice do you have for nannies? None. I only teach parenting. I don't talk to nannies or teachers. I don't teach teaching, nannying, daycaring, grandparenting, none of that. I only talk to parents. Okay. Advice on how to get my 2-year-old to eat fruits and vegetables, please. I'm not a nutritionist, so I don't like to talk about that, but I will tell you what I did with my kids. It was a little bit radical, but I'm a real health food nut. And I only made everything from scratch, and we had no junk food in the house. So basically, my kids had 2 choices. You can have healthy food or healthy food. And also, I was really, because I made everything from scratch, and God, I hate cooking, but I did it anyway. I was very good at hiding stuff in other things. Like if I made muffins or cookies or cakes, you bet you there was lots of healthy stuff thrown in there. Okay. So yeah. How do you build confidence in your kids? Well, confidence and high self-esteem can actually be quite different. High self-esteem is you feel good about yourself. Confidence means you might be able to get up on stage and act. But a lot of kids who have a lot of confidence have very low self-esteem. So they can be quite different. So I'm assuming you need self-esteem, increase their self-esteem. You increase their self-esteem by teaching them how to make good choices and treating people well, and they feel good about themselves. Praise does not give kids high self-esteem. It's being good people gives them high self-esteem. If they feel like they're nice people and they're making good choices, they tend to have high self-esteem. That's what leadership does for them. Confidence, on the other hand, is the kids who can go out, walk into any room and be comfortable. I was born that way. They're either born that way or they're not, but you can teach them how to have more confidence by throwing them out in a whole bunch of situations. I did that with my kids. I threw them into everything. We were out and about all the time, and I didn't let them hang on to me when we were out. I'd get up and walk around and talk to people. So as they grew up, they got really good at talking to anybody. My mom did that too. So that's why I think my brother and I are very good. We could talk to anybody. So always could. So yeah, you expose them. It's exposure therapy, right? You get them out and about, and don't coddle them when you're out and about. Don't force them to do anything either. My kids were just watching me. They learn social skills often by watching the parents. Yeah. Like I remember I knew people who go, say hello, and the kid's burying their head in your lap. Say hello. Why would you bother? For one thing, most people don't want to say hello to your kids anyway. They just want to chat, right? Say hello, and you're sitting there thinking, don't force it on them. I'd rather just have an adult conversation anyway. You know what I mean? Like if you're out with friends and that, don't force them to do that. Just ignore them and they'll learn eventually. I'm not good at people talking. Well, then, yeah, people talking. Well, then you get out there and expose yourself to talking to people, and then your kids are watching, right? Oh, you got a climber. There's 4 things that kids are born to do or they're never going to do. One is climbing, one is running, one is tantrums, and one is hitting. It's in their DNA. They're either going to do those things as toddlers or they're never going to do them. It's your job to train them out of those things, though, or do it safely, right? So with climbing, they're often also runners. They take off because they have no fear, right? They physically have no fear. Climbers are the worst ones, though, the scariest ones, because years ago, I had this client. And she had an 18-month-old little girl who she could not find in the house. All the doors and windows were locked. Mother went into a massive panic, and she almost called the police. She literally thought someone had broken into her house, kidnapped the toddler, and taken off. Anyway, so she's in the kitchen, and she was just going to call the police, and she heard giggling. She looked up. Her 18-month-old little girl had climbed up using the stairs, but they were all child locked, but she got her toes, on the drawers that were just pulled out a little bit, and then climbed up onto the counter, then the bread machine, then the fridge. She was up on top of the fridge for ages. Imagine if she'd fallen off. So climbers, you childproof as much as possible. If you can't childproof, put alarms on things or bells on things or even bells on your kid. And you're just going to have to watch them like a hawk. That's all I can suggest. Also, if they're that way inclined, I would get them mini trampolines with a bar on them, something to work off their energy, because they're often also the hyperactive kids. I knew this kid who could climb walls. He had this wall in his house, and it was like they had like a real pitched roof, but there was like a hallway sort of underneath, and he was climbing on either side of the wall, and he was up like 18 feet. And he was a young kid. How frightening is that? The anklet with bells are super cute. Yeah, put bells on them. Do whatever you got to do. You knew Spider-Man. Yeah, that's quite it's quite, I thought those kids are usually the athletes of tomorrow. So it's not a bad quality, but it's a scary one with toddlers. They're also the ones who are going to break more bones because they're fearless, right? So yeah. Hi from Ireland. Love your content. I've got a couple of Irish clients right now, and I think I've got a Scottish one too. Yeah. Love the accents. I know they're different. Did I kind of say that right? Irish and Scottish. I think I know them when I hear them, but I'm not good at doing any accents. You did every sport. Yeah, I was lousy at sports. I was very cautious. I was always the last one to be picked for a team because I won't do whatever it takes to win. I don't want to get hurt. What is common sense? I don't know. You can look that one up. How many children do you have? I have 2 kids and a granddaughter. So my son's 34. He's got a 6-month-old daughter. And then my daughter is 29 years old, and she's just left her corporate job, and she works with me full time now. She is my marketing and planning person. Yeah, I ask her if I can do something, and she goes, no, it's not in the plan right now. I hate all that planning stuff. She loves it. So if you get an email or see a video or any of that stuff, that's all her. She does all the marketing. And yeah, she's really good at it. There's a picture of her on my page. If you hit the link above, you just scroll down. I was surprised she put that on there. She does not like being in front of the camera at all. Yeah, there's a picture of both of us together. And she just joined me about a week and a half ago. Someone asked her, they said, what's it like working for your mom? We're partners, believe me. She's not working for me. We are very much partners. And she does what she does really well, and I do what I do. I'm in front of the camera. All the parenting stuff is me. She does all the marketing and all that stuff. So we don't like each other's jobs at all. Like no crossover whatsoever. How do you feel about medicating ADHD children? I'm not a doctor, so I would never comment on that. I honestly have no opinion on it because I'm not a medical professional. So, and I'm pretty good in that I don't tend to have opinions on stuff I don't know everything about. If I have a really strong opinion, it's usually because I know a lot about it. I don't like stupid opinions. Like if someone says, "Oh, I hate that." Well, what do you know about it? And you find out they don't even know anything. Yeah, I don't tend to have a lot of opinions. If I do, it's something I know quite a bit about. Yeah, this one's tough. This is from Heather. Not sure how to help her process through having an absent parent. Well, I don't know. It must be a continuation the way you've worded that. So let's say a parent's taken off and they want nothing to do with your kid. I would just say, not everyone's meant to be a parent. They just don't know how to do it. They're just kind of kids themselves. So say it's not that they don't love you. They just don't know how to parent. So yeah, it's tough though. It's like grief. Some things are just hard to deal with. Yeah, I can't, there's no like, wow solution to that one at all. How do you like your new role as a grandma? It's nowhere near as much fun as parenting. And I'll tell you why. It's because I have to hand her back. She's someone else's kid. I loved mothering. It was the most fun I ever had in my whole life. And they were all mine. I got to take them home. And then, so I'm holding her. It's like, can I have my kid, Mom? Like, no. Yeah, I have to hand her back. Everyone says that's the best part of it. But I loved mothering. I love the fact that I got to live with them. Like they were my kids. So, and she's adorable, cute as a button. But yeah, she's someone else's kid. I love her to death, but yeah, I have to hand her back. That's the negative. And they're doing a great job. It's beautiful to see your kids have kids. It's just like full circle. So, and they're doing a fantastic job. I think my son will be the one, will be the pushover. I think his girlfriend, I think she'll be very much in control. I think she's going to be the leader in the house for sure. Yeah, mothering. And the reason why I don't go on about it a lot is because I don't want to make people feel bad. Like not everyone enjoys parenting that much. But remember, I had a lot of experience with kids before I had kids of my own. So I just got that leadership, mutual respect going when they were tiny. So I just sailed right through it and we just had fun. So if you're struggling with parenting, that's what I'm here for. I want you to enjoy it. I want you to find the joy in parenting. That's what I do. I just had a client this morning and I'm pretty tough in coaching. I say what they need to hear. And she goes, thanks. She goes, you didn't make me feel judged at all. And I thought, geez, I thought I was really tough on her. She goes, I just feel so safe with you. And here I thought I was being too tough on her. But yeah, I don't judge. I'm here. I want you to enjoy parenting as much as I did. I want you to wallow in it like I did. I just thought it was a blast. I raised these they were like my humor victims. I formed them into laughing at everything we did. They were just my little buddies. We just had a blast. Oops. Okay. Sorry. I have to get going. If you want to check out the link above, you can see my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp course, 3 to 12 years old, or you can look into coaching. Now, the new toddler course is coming out on Thursday. All of the mini toddler courses will be an added bonus in that course. I'm telling you that now. There won't be any refunds if you've bought them ahead of time. It's just too confusing. They're just a bonus thrown into that, okay? But if you only have problems with tantrums, then you just need the mini course. So those mini courses will still be available, but they are going to be thrown into the toddler course. You'll see it all above. Also, if you scroll down to the bottom, you'll see a picture of me and my daughter. She's joined the team. She's my partner in the business now. And yeah, we're just really excited to be working together. Anyway, thanks so much for joining me. I really do appreciate your time. And we'll talk again tomorrow from our regularly scheduled live. And happy parenting. Bye now.